Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Here we go! Holy crap!
Looks like you already have.
I need guns. Alrighty guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Let's Talk About It. I know it's been a second, but there's a lot of topics I want to talk about, and this is kind of a series I do to talk about news going on in the entertainment world that I'm interested in, and I want to share your thoughts, my thoughts on them to you guys, and maybe you guys have some thoughts on them as well. And please make sure you press that subscribe button when you get so you get notified when all these episodes of Let's Talk About It come out, so you can be ready to watch it whenever you want. Press the little bell button, and then you can watch it. Just that simple to do. But by the way, let's move on to our first topic here today. Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts comes out tomorrow. I am seeing it tomorrow. Be ready to see the out of theater review tomorrow. But we all had a feeling this movie is going to be good, and we'll talk about kind of what people are saying about the movie a bit later in the show. But first, another question people have been asking: what is the box office going to look like? Is it going to be low, or is it going to be higher than expected? And Comic Book Movie has just come out with a new article talking about what the global debut might look like. According to them, Thunderbolts set to exceed box office expectations with 160M to 175 million global debut. Now, this is not saying domestically. It is still saying in here that it has been likely to be 70 to 75. And, that could be right. But the same thing was actually said about Minecraft. And I'm not comparing Thunderbolts to Minecraft. It's a totally different animal. But Minecraft, I believe, was only suggested to make like 60 to 70 million its opening weekend. Made a lot more than that. And sure, that's like a one special case. But, right now, people are going to the movies. If you saw the last weekend box office results, we had 4 movies make over $20 million. Sinners had a 6% drop. And really now, we are in full swing in the summer season when Thunderbolts comes to our screens. And hey, the critic reviews are very good. It started at 95, now it's at 87. We'll talk a bit more about it, like I said, a bit later in the show. But I think these are all positive signs when people are like, hey, Thunderbolts, this movie, it's not like the other ones. This movie is really, really good. People are saying, that it's an Avengers type movie, which, people love Avengers, people love team-up movies. So I have to think that maybe that the box office will go up, because if you look at other films, really what makes their box office goes up is ticket stand prices, where it's people just walking up and buying a ticket. Because unlike you guys, like me and you, we know what's going on with Thunderbolts. We know, we're seeing it opening weekend. But a lot of people are still hesitant because Marvel has been a lot of miss lately for people. Captain America: Brave New World. I think that movie soured a lot of people. I think it did. People were like, oh, I don't want to go see Thunderbolts because the last one was really bad. But I think people are going to hear great word of mouth, and we saw what great word of mouth does. Look at Sinners. I'm not going to compare it to Sinners, because Sinners, in my opinion, is the best movie of the year so far. In my opinion, it's as perfect as Dune Part 2, in my opinion. And we saw, made 45 million opening, then word of mouth came out. Second weekend, dropped 6% its final weekend. Second weekend. Sorry about that. Second weekend. And because, why? Because word of mouth got out. Word of mouth got out that the movie was good. You have to go see this in a theater. And I'm sure 21% of that box office was IMAX screens, which Thunderbolts is taking away from this weekend. But you got to think, when people hear a movie is good, they are going to go see it. They're like, oh, I still compare last weekend. Last weekend, we had 4 movies making $20 million plus. Sinners, a re-release of Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, The Accountant 2, and Minecraft, all making $20 million. So people are going to the movie theaters right now. So personally, it does say 70 to 75 million for its opening, but I think it could make 100 plus. I'm going to say this right now. Don't be surprised if Thunderbolts makes 100 million plus domestic, because I think it can get there. Like, I think word of mouth. I think, I am so excited for this movie, guys. Like I said, if you watch my most anticipated movies of 2025, Thunderbolts is number 2. It's my second most anticipated movie. So I'm excited. I'm probably going to see it multiple times this weekend. I've already got like a few showings I'm going to see. I'm seeing it Thursday, of course, but then I'm also going to go see it maybe Friday or Saturday as well. But what do you guys think about this? Thunderbolts looking like to pull in 160 to 175 million global debut. Do you think that the box office will be where it's projecting? Or do you think it could be bigger than any of us can ever imagine? Especially with the way other movies have been earning tons of money over these past few weeks. Leave your comments down below. Let's move on to our second topic here today. We got another Marvel topic here, and this is something that we've all been talking about. Like, I swear, I've been talking about X-Men like since the beginning of our channel. Now we've been doing this for about 2 to 3 years now. But according to a new article from comicmovie.com, the reboot is still being worked on. The script is still being worked on, but a new villain we've never seen before in the X-Men movies might be coming to the big screen for the first time. According to comicmovie.com, X-Men Mister Sinister is still believed to be the main villain in the current script for MCU reboot. Now, a lot of you might be thinking like, oh, you mean the X-Men from Doomsday? No. Listen, I think Doomsday is going to be a little bit like Deadpool Wolverine. We're going to be honoring the past. I think the one thing for Doomsday and this multiverse saga that you have the ability to do is honor the things that came before. You can honor those X-Men movies. You can honor those Fantastic Four movies. Even Blade. We've already seen them being kind of honored in Deadpool and Wolverine. I think, that's kind of like a little swan song for those actors and their characters. But once it ends, we got some new ones coming in because we all are excited for X-Men. And, I think 2 years ago I reported that they were finally working on the script for this movie. It's one of our first Let's Talk About videos. And, Mister Sinister, I have been wanting the new Mister Sinister for such a long time. This is a great villain. And what I love also that it seems that they're doing, they're not starting off with Magneto. It's because Magneto's a villain who's I think you can build Magneto out and kind of do him as a Thanos type villain for the X-Men if you want to go that way. But Mister Sinister, this guy is dangerous. This guy, of course, if you know the origin of Mister Sinister, he is someone who likes to play around with mutant DNA. And, he is also very obsessed with Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Those are the two mutants he is so fully invested in, that he's obsessed with. And, my main thing that I really did not like about the X-Men 20th Century movies is that they never focused on Scott Summers. Scott Summers, is a very, very interesting character to me because we saw in X-Men 97, he isn't just the sidekick to Wolverine. No, this guy is the leader of the X-Men, and he has had a lot of bad things happen to him, If you look to, what happened with Scott Summers' parents, if you look the relationship with his brother and how, he, in some comic and show narrations, he doesn't even know that his brother is still alive. And, of course, the relationship of Jean Grey and Scott Summers is one of my favorite. And I don't think they've never really captured that relationship in the movies. It is a very relationship that I've always been 100%, it's not Jean Grey and Wolverine. It's Scott Summers and Jean Grey. And I really love the way they did it in X-Men 97. And for my opinion, for this X-Men movie, I want them to go small. I'm not saying small in budget, but in number of characters. Listen, we don't need a 10 to 15 person roster of X-Men characters. I think you start off with 5 or 6. For me, at least, I would love them to go OG with I've said this before, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast, and Angel. I think you start off small. You start off with, just introducing the world back into the X-Men. And you can have a lot of success there. Because you look at Avengers. I'm looking at X-Men in terms of Avengers. Avengers, you started off with a 6-person roster. And then for the movies, it grew bigger and bigger and bigger. You got to do that for X-Men. And I do think you can do solo movies for X-Men as well. I think there's a lot of X-Men characters who have always had their side stories in the comics. Characters like Storm. You can do side movies about Cyclops and his side. But it's really cool that they are considering Mister Sinister, because this is a big bad. This guy is someone who's going to give the X-Men a run for their money. And I cannot, if this is true, I cannot wait to see it. But what do you think about this? Mister Sinister is still in the running to be the villain of the next X-Men movie. And the script is currently being written. Do you guys think it will come out in Phase 6, Phase 7, Phase 8? Or do you think we're still many, many years away from this movie? Leave comments down below. And let's move on to our third topic here today. Shifting our way from superheroes to a galaxy far, far away. Ashoka. Yes, Ashoka Season 2 is coming. And to be quite honest, I am somewhat excited, but not totally confident. The thing is, with Ashoka, I thought there were things I really liked in that first season. But there was a lot that went wrong, in my opinion. The first thing that went wrong with Ashoka, in my opinion, was that normal Star Wars fans who do not watch the animated series were completely lost. You know, when I watched this series for the first time, I sat down with my parents and watched it because they're really big Star Wars fans, and they were watching it like, who the hell is Ezra? Who's Sabine? Like, they didn't understand because Dave Filoni made a show that only diehard Star Wars fans get into, but the rest of the audiences had no idea what was going on. And I think that was one of the things that Dave Filoni did not do well. Unlike in Mandalorian, where you're introducing all these new characters, but also putting in Clone Wars and some Rebels references in there, this was just a full-on other season, live-action series of Rebels. And people were lost. Now, the big standout of that season, of course, was Baylan Skoll, which sadly, the actor playing him passed away. We got a new one coming in. The Mountain himself is playing that. The Hound himself, Rory McCann, is playing it. So very excited. But according to comicbook.com, we got confirmation that they are not shooting the show. According to them, Ashoka Season 2 officially begins filming. Star Rosario Dawson shares first BTS photo. Now, it's just a photo on Instagram saying, like Rosario Dawson taking a picture of the ground and saying, and we're off to galaxies far, far away. So that means it has begun. Now, we've been hearing a lot about Ashoka Season 2, that, Hayden Christensen is returning, but also, possibilities of also Ian McGregor and even Natalie Portman coming in here. And of course, those are going to be presented in flashbacks, which we might be going back to the world between worlds again. But for me, this season needs to be good. This needs to have a Rings of Power turnaround. What I mean by that is Rings of Power, Season 1. I enjoyed it, but a lot of people did not like it. Then you go to Rings of Power Season 2. I loved Season 2. I thought it was epic and awesome, and a lot of people agreed. They shifted the narrative that being like, oh, it's not a super great show, to this is a pretty good show. And now you have Ahsoka Season 2. I'm going to say Star Wars has been on a good run so far. If that's to Skeleton Crew, great. Andor Season 2 is freaking fantastic so far. I'm absolutely loving it. To the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith re-release, making $40 million total on a re-release movie, which shows people still love that era of Star Wars. And then we have Ahsoka coming. Ahsoka, which I think is the next Star Wars project, next Star Wars show to come out after Andor. This has to be good. I'm telling Dave Filoni, listen to me right now. Please make a Star Wars show, not just a show about, oh, you want to connect everything to your animated series. Make a show that anyone can jump into, because, like I said with The Mandalorian, no one in the Star Wars universe knew about Mandalorian, but we all enjoyed it. But then we also met characters like Bo-Katan, which was like, oh, for us diehard Clone Wars fans, we know who that is. But they were also able to bring her in and make people not confused and actually like that character. I don't think particularly a lot of people liked the Rebels characters in there. People really didn't know them because they're like, oh, who's that? And it was like, oh, look at that. Oh, there's a Kanan Easter egg. Oh, there's Ezra. And literally my parents are asking, who's Ezra? Who's Kanan? Who's that picture? What's going on? And that's the part that was bad. I thought there were good points, but there was also some really, really. It was hard for new fans to jump in. I think someone has to tell Dave Filoni, listen, I get it. You want to connect all your animated shows, but you have to make it accessible, not just for the diehard Star Wars fans, but for everyone. If you want to continue making content for Star Wars, and of course, they need to. I just think it needs to be better. personally, there were parts of the show I really enjoyed. The flashbacks, the member berries. Even though a lot of people aren't a fan of like member berries in shows, I loved it because I got to see my guy Captain Rex. Like that was still really, really fun for me. I cannot wait to see more of this. Like I cannot wait because I think if they have a rings of power like third idea, like okay, we can still turn this around. We can just first season wasn't great, but we go into the second season, we can make it great. And you know, we've seen Balin's skull images of Roy McCann, and he looks really great, really great. And you know, now we're diving. There's also because they're also diving more into the more unknown Star Wars lore. You know, going into the Clone Wars episode that Dave Filoni did about like the father and the brother and sister, which I thought was like one of the most intriguing things to watch when I was a kid. And you know, that's going to be something you got to explain. You can't just like say, "Oh, it's this and this," and it's like, then and people are going to be like, "What do you mean? Who is the father? Who is the sister? Who is the brother? Who are those people?" You need to have times where you need to explain, like briefly, not for like 15 minutes, but say like, "This is this. This is that." Maybe show flashbacks. That's what you have to do. You can't do what you did in season 1. You can't just make this a show for Rebels and Clone Wars fans. You need to make this a show for everyone to love. And I think if you have a Rings of Power turnaround, the show can be good. But guys, what do you think about this? Ahsoka season 2 has officially started filming. And do you guys have hope that this may be a good season? Or are you guys kind of like, there's no way the show will be good? Are you excited? Are you not excited? Leave your comments down below. And let's move on to our final topic here today. And that's this. The reviews are in, guys. The reviews are in for Thunderbolts. Yes, the reviews are in for Thunderbolts. And right now, I'm going to shift over to my screen right now. I'm going to show you guys what's on my screen. Alrighty, guys. I've shifted my screen, and Thunderbolts right now is sitting at 88% right now. It's sitting at 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's go take a look at some of these reviews, and let's see what they're saying. We're going to look at some positives. We're probably like 4 or 5 positive reviews, and then we're going to look at some of the negatives. Alright, so first one we're going to start with is right here from Joe Lipsit from Queer Horror Movies. It's a fun film with a number of entertaining and acerbic characters, but the mental health stuff is what ultimately distinguishes it from its contemporaries. Listen, this is what I heard. Like, the theme of this movie is not about our heroes fighting a big villain. It's about loneliness. It's about their mental traumas, which I really think, is really good to capture because these are all broken characters. I've said this before, like, these are all broken characters, and you need to present them as broken, like, every single one of them. Even, Yelena, Bucky, John Walker, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster. They are all broken characters who have suffered immense traumas in their life. So I really love that they're, like, focusing in on that. And let's look at another one. From Rebecca Murray, Showbiz Junkies. Marvel's captured lightning in a bottle with the refreshing fun and surprising moving Thunderbolts. Like, again, people say they're having fun. Like, this is a fun movie. It's not, total, like, MCU lore heavy. It's just a fun time in the theaters. And, like, that's what it is. But it also has those parts of, like I said, mental health, of loneliness, about how these are all broken characters, which I really love what they're doing. And now we got another one from Jerry Jones, a bit of a longer one. It's hardly revolutionary. It doesn't fully reverse the MCU's continued entropy, but Thunderbolts insists that Marvel characters matter, and for the first time in a hot minute, its audience might agree. Listen. Like, I'm going to say this. Like, it's been a long time, I believe, since we've had a really good Marvel movie. Like, I look at, Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, that movie, wasn't really MCU adjacent. It was more of a send-off for the 20th Century Fox universe, but also a final movie for Ryan Reynolds. We haven't really had a good MCU movie in a minute. Like, I would say the last one would have been Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and that was like that's like 2 to 3 years ago. Like, it's been a long time, and I honestly think we haven't had, like, and that was also kind of another send-off, non-connecting MCU movie. Like, I believe the last really good MCU movie I believe I watched that was connected to the overarching story was Spider-Man No Way Home. It was either that or Shang-Chi. And like I say, it has been a minute since we have had a really good movie. And like, it's surprising to hear this also about characters who are also not really well known in like Disney Plus characters like John Walker, sub characters in the Black Widow movie like Yelena and Red Guardian, and even Taskmaster, and even having Ghost, which people haven't seen since Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, these are characters people don't really know that well, and I hope what I'm hearing is that like we're gonna see more of like these characters, which I cannot wait to see more of them, because like a lot of these characters I'm really excited to see. You know, if that's to John Walker, if that's to Yelena, if that's to Taskmaster, like seeing where these characters are now gets me very excited. But let's look at 2 more reviews. We're gonna go to Nicholas Brooks from CBR, which is very reliable because I read CBR sometimes. Thunderbolts is more than the next big MCU film, as it makes the cinematic conclusion of Phase 5 leading into a Fantastic Four first steps. ... From here on out, things promise to be bigger and pack even greater punches. This is what I've heard, that there is some crazy stuff in this movie. And like, for some reason, people's like, this is very much expanding on the MCU's current story. I'm like, okay, that gets me interested. Because like, what does like Void, is he able to interact with the multiverse? Like, that's gonna be interesting to see. And you know, not every movie has to be connecting. Like, I like when Marvel does stories about, you know, where things that don't have to connect to the MCU. Daredevil, in a way, is something that doesn't really connect to the overarching story of the MCU, and I absolutely love it. But it's cool that, like, listen, like, we need to start getting the threads together for Doomsday. Like, we want to make a good movie, but we also need to, if we're doing a cinematic universe, we need to connect things. And I love that that's one of the things going on here. And we're going to read one more. And I'm going to read from here. So, Jack Martin, from Film Theater, it's a strong back-to-basics moment for the MCU that is different from what you're expecting from a Marvel formula. And that's a very good thing indeed. Yeah, like, for some reason, in my mind, like, this just feels like what they were trying to do with Captain America Brave New World. Go back to, like, the Winter Soldier, you know, type of movie. And, you know, in a way, for some reason, when I'm watching these teasers, I'm like, I'm getting a bit of Winter Soldier, you know, in there, even if the Winter Soldier is in this movie. Like, I can't tell you guys, like, I am beyond excited. Like, I cannot wait for, like, this entire week, I've been counting down the days to see this movie. Like, and I know I'm going to go back again and again and watch it, because I know, because just by watching the trailers, every single trailer for this has been great. I stopped watching them. After that final trailer they did, I stopped watching anything for Thunderbolts. Like, I haven't watched any clips. I haven't read any articles that say spoilers for Thunderbolts. I haven't looked up any spoilers for Thunderbolts, because I want to go in not knowing what's going to happen. Because for Captain America Brave New World, I feel like we kind of already know what's going to happen, because they were kind of showing the entire movie. And with the trailers, like, what they've done brilliantly is like, oh, here's like some of the same things, but here's a little extra here. Like, they haven't even showed Sentry, guys. They haven't showed Sentry. Like, we've seen Void, but we haven't seen Sentry. And we haven't got a whole lot for Sentry. Like, we just hear him, it's like, why would a god have to kneel to you? And like, that's all we've kind of heard. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see more from these, honestly, the cast interactions, because, guys, this cast has they are able to communicate so well with each other. I love their presence. And for me, when I'm watching this cast, guys, it feels like I am watching the OG Avengers cast, because those guys had incredible chemistry. These actors have incredible chemistry. I'm like, it feels like I'm seeing Avengers 1 back when I was in middle school, when I was so excited to see Avengers 1, and getting that same feeling again, which I haven't felt for a Marvel movie for a second. You know, for Deadpool and Wolverine, I was excited for the cameos. For Guardians of the Galaxy, I was excited to see, you know, possibly who would die in that movie. Spoiler alert, like, not a lot of people died in that movie. But it hasn't been really since Avengers that I've been excited to see a movie with this certain cast of characters. Because in a way, it does feels like an Avengers movie, in a way, in my opinion. But let's move on to a few negative reviews. So we have Avid Officer, New York Movie Guru. Clunky, unfinished, and disjointed. Alright. It's his opinion. Like, I'm not going to opinion about, like, a lot of this is positive, and it just might be this movie did not work for him. And, like, this guy might just be like, oh, Marvel movies on cinema. Like, there's a lot of people out there. But, you know, it's his, like, even the, like, right here from Grant Watson, he says, flawed, yes. Enjoyable, also yes. Like, he said, like, there's a few things that were not great, but I like the movie. Like, that's what I'm hearing here. Like, there are some stuff that people are not there's some stuff that people don't agree with, but then the movie is still good. They still say the movie's good, which is surprising. We're going to do one, I'm going to try to find one more negative, because there aren't a lot of negatives in here, which is good, which is really, really good. All right. We're going to do these two last here. Okay. Jason Escamilla from Eskimo TV. Thunderbolts follows a familiar Marvel formula, entertaining at times, but weighed down by a sluggish second act in a standoffish, explosive finale. Florence Pugh shines, but the film overall feels average. Alright, listen. See, that negative review, he's not saying like, oh, this is bad. No, he's saying like, there's some stuff that's like kind of, similar to other Marvel movies. There's some stuff, that I expected, but overall, I liked it. Florence Pugh was great, but it's average. Listen, as long as you're not saying like, this is wrong, I'm gonna have a good... I'm seeing that right here, the critics are enjoying the film. So, overall, these reviews are very good. Does it get me more excited? Yes, it gets me more excited. But it's also stuff that I expected, because I was going to see this movie no matter what. I've been excited for Thunderbolts ever since they announced it at that Comic-Con, because I had seen Thunderbolts as a kid in my animated TV shows. I've seen them in comics. I've seen them as the Dark Avengers. Like, I am excited, and I'm excited for this cast of characters as someone who actually really loves that Black Widow movie. Seeing there's so many Black Widow-themed characters in here, I am excited. But guys, what do you think about these reviews for Thunderbolts? Are you going to go check out this weekend? Was it surprising to hear so many positive responses and people saying that it's very similar to the first Avengers movie? Leave your comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.